So moving on to printer summary. This is a summary report for all printers. It lets you know what printing has been carried out on each printer between the specified start and end dates. Lots of positives to this one, or meaningful positives. One thing I really love about this is the generated report is completely comprehensive yet concise. What you're looking at here in just 2 pages is every printer configured to run Pharos, every printer on campus running off Pharos, and between the specified start and end date, and it gives us the total output that happens on each of those over that period of time. Negatives. It demonstrates only a summary of volume, and it does not capture nuances of the behavioral trends occurring within that range. So we don't know when they're printed out. Were they all printed out on one day within that range, or were they scattered out? What are the fluctuations? What are the real trends? What's the story that's being told within these overall numbers? We're not going to get that kind of story there. But in terms of application, how is it helpful? It can be used to get a snapshot of output volume. It'll help you to answer questions like, how many pages did we print in Arnold Hall 3rd floor during finals? Or what is the total output of black and white printers in building E for last semester? Though it's not designed to illustrate trend, I have used this report in that manner to illustrate month-to-month trends. But to note about that, it requires a separate report for every month you wish to survey. So if you'd like to assess behavioral trends over a 6-month period, you would have to run the 6 separate reports and manually arrange the exported data in a way that can help you to illustrate what that behavior actually is. Next up, print summary by week. This is a popular one. So, print summary by week. It reports print transactions printed on a specific printer or all between start and end dates. It reports details, the number of print jobs that are printed for each week during the specified period. The positives. We were talking about the weaknesses of the print summary. Well, print summary by week really tells a story. It reports and illustrates the behavioral trends over the range of dates with a high level of intuitive clarity as well. You really get to see, well, what are people thinking? Where are they recessing? Where are they surging? It really allows you to tap into the social aspect of print behavior, and which is really something that in any committee they're really going to connect to, is what is the actual personal experience of our users. This data is really helpful for that, but I digress into application. The negatives of this report. The exports can be a bit verbose. You can run a report for all AT printers, and it generates nearly 200 pages of reports. Now, I'll always export that and clean that up in Excel and compress some of that so that it's not so unmanageable in terms of volume, but that does require a lot of work on the cleanup end. Another negative to that is that there is some degree of incongruence when you're doing yearly comparisons, simply by virtue of the fact that the weekday, the start of the week, does not change, but the dates do. So there's not always precise alignment between those behaviors, and from time to time that may lead you to some inaccurate conclusions. So it's something to always keep in mind. Uses. Useful for operational assessments, absolutely, comparing usage trends from one year to the next. And also, as I was saying earlier, because it's illustration of behavioral trends is so intuitive. It's a very useful tool for arguing for policy change because it's very engaging. When people look at this graph and they see, oh, well, there's Thanksgiving, there's Christmas, they really engage the data in a way that generates some enthusiasm. If you can harness that enthusiasm to get behind policy change, it really is to your benefit. It's also very useful in planning supply ordering. It'll tell you exactly how many sheets of paper are consumed in a given week. And if you look here, we'll get exact numbers on it. Exactly how many are consumed in a week. And it'll also, so that you can use it to project the term consumption. And in particular, the delivery dates is where it's really key. You can identify weeks of low output and and suspend deliveries for those weeks. So really, it's not the quantity so much that is helpful in terms of the supply ordering, but how do you distribute that quantity over the term? That's where this report is really helpful. Next up, we'll look at printer transactions. You can see here there's no all printer option as there are on other reports. You have to select a specific printer, and then of course modify the date range and select preview. This report's going to report on all transactions to a specific printer between a specified start and end date. The positives is that it allows for granular level observation of printer activity. You can see here we're down to specific print jobs and users who submitted those jobs. It gives you a lot of very detailed information. The negative, especially if you're looking at larger date ranges, it's going to generate massive amounts of data, which can be difficult to manage in Excel. You can see here we have 94 pages and over 2,600 entries, and this is for a relatively a printer with relatively low output volume, 300 E300A, and for a date range that is also somewhat narrow, and we have almost 100 pages of data entries. I have used this report almost exclusively to help identify page size usage on the plotters. I'll show you where that is. If I select, where are you, plotters? 407 plotters, not really what I want. Here we go. You can see here when this generates its result, it gives a cost. So what I would do is take this cost, divide it by the number of total pages, and then I would use the table to correspond and identify the output, the cost to the page size, and then I can get a frequency count on the number of times a specific page size was selected. That is helpful. We've been using it in terms of identifying changes to the fee structure for the plotter.